Alright guys, what's up? It's your boy Migs. So this video is going to be a perspective that was changed of mine. I had a friend asking for different people to talk about different perspectives in their life that had changed. And so I guess I have two big ones that I don't really kind of like go together in a sense. And it would be, I see it a lot and it's almost a little frustrating to me seeing it, is once you start trusting in God, everything will work out. Once you start putting everything into Him, everything will work out. And I think that's a whole bunch of baloney. Now religiously, I mean, I grew up in a Christian household. My dad was Catholic. Being Hispanic and everything, it's a big religion for Hispanics. But my mom's side of the family was Christian. I went to a Christian school, heavily involved in the church. I loved going to, there was this thing called Project Hope where we would help, families with food, and, I would usually help host the carnival, and there'd be like games for kids, and everybody won a prize, and and I loved doing that, and I loved helping people. I feel like there's a misconception with a lot of the times you have to be religious to help people, and I don't believe that at all. I feel like if you believe in God, if you don't believe in God, whatever, you can do whatever you want. You can help people. You can be mean. I've known a lot of religious people who are terrible people. That's a downside of, some of these bigger churches and whatnot. There are, wolves in sheep clothing, I guess, if you will. But that was a thing where, growing up, it was always like, well, if you pray, you read your Bible and everything, things will work out, and things will fall into place, and just pray about it. And it's not necessarily wrong, but it's not necessarily right. I feel like obviously, like, there's nothing in the Bible that says that. There's nothing in the Bible that's like, hey, yeah, just pray and God's gonna give you it. It's not true. And a lot of the times people will say, well, God gives his toughest fights to his strongest soldiers. That's not always reassuring. So after high school, I graduated Christian high school. I actually went to a Christian college down in St. Louis. Well, I guess technically at the bottom of Illinois, like right, I was literally like, I could throw my shoe to St. Louis. Technically it was Illinois, but I say St. Louis is just easier. Anyways, went to a Christian college. I actually wanted to be a youth minister. I wanted to go to school for sociology and psychology, but I also wanted to be a youth minister, and that was something I was looking into. And, I thought I was doing everything right. I was playing sports. My school was basically paid for. I was trying to work hard, trying to do my best, trying to do what I could, and then, I started getting sick. And then I couldn't play sports anymore. And then I couldn't go to school anymore. And then, I was sleeping on, couches and in my car and whatever, and I was here and there, and my friends kind of disappeared. Well, and then the girl I had been dating for 2-3 years didn't want to talk to me anymore. And then certain people stopped talking to me, and then it was, oh, he's a bad guy because, this and that. But nobody really knew what was going on. And that changed my perspective on a lot of things, because at the time, you look at religion, whatnot, and, throughout high school and even into college, they teach you about other religions. So you know a little bit more. It's one thing to just teach you about algebra, but if you don't know trigonometry or everything, math is kind of a little difficult. So not knowing not knowing more than one religion, I feel like is kind of, you're limiting yourself. So we looked into different religions and everything. So like, I knew different beliefs and everything, and I don't know, that phrase had probably passed through. I've seen it on social media. I've heard it in different places like church and whatnot, and it always bugs me so much because it's not true. It's sad, but it's not true. Sometimes life is gonna suck, but at the same time, I got angry, and I would say I got angry at God because that's what I was told. You know, well, why did all this happen to me? Why? That is my biggest question I ask even now is why. Why does this happen? Why does this do that when, I press this button? Or why does this work this way? Or I like knowing why. But that's not a question I can get an answer to. Another thing that pushed into that was mental health. Asking why a lot and not getting an answer drove me not crazy, but kind of crazy. And I know that sounds terrible, but it bugged me. It bugged me so much. Shoot, it's been 5 years. It's been 5 years, and I still don't know why I'm not in school. Why I couldn't be playing soccer or basketball anymore. Why I couldn't be at school with my friends. I wake up and sometimes I can't feel my hands. I can't feel my arm. Why? Why does this happen? There have been times I've had a seizure and I went to the emergency room, and I was healthy. I'm 6 foot tall. I was like 170 pounds, like 5-6% body fat. I was an athlete. I was eating healthy. They were, they feed you well, and there's protein and all these other supplements to help you be stronger for them and their team. And I was sleeping enough. I was, they have tutors and whatever. Like, it was great. But then I got sick, and well, the doctor doesn't know why, and that scares me because I'm not a doctor by any means. I'm not stupid, but I'm not a doctor. There are some things that I could be like, okay, yeah, my finger's broken. Okay, yeah, I have a cold, whatever. But for something like that, hey, I can't breathe anymore. Hey, I'm getting dizzy and passing out. Hey, I don't know what's going on, and it's scary. It's a scary time. And that's the, well, why? That's when that came. And then with the mental health, it's like, all my life, I always said I could never understand suicide at the time because I saw it as, yeah, it's easy for the person, but it's a grenade. Yeah, the person lets go of everything, all the pain, all the hurt, but then it blows up around them. It blows up and it hurts everybody around them. And I know that's kind of hypocritical of me because I ended up in Rogers 2 months ago because of the why questions. Just because, I'm not saying not to believe in God by any means. I'm not saying if you don't believe in God, you're whatever. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like, praying for stuff isn't bad. Wishing for things aren't bad. I wish every day that, the doctor finds out what's wrong and I can go back to playing sports. But you almost have to put an effort towards it. Now with like my mental health and stuff, that's another thing. I pushed and bottled things off so much because I was strong. And a lot of the times is when something bad happens, sometimes you almost like, okay, well maybe I deserved it. Because, well, Job, God tested Job. So maybe I deserve this, you know. And you think back at things that you did wrong throughout your life, and okay, well, you know, I did this grow, you know, so this makes sense. This is my payment for that, and that's not true. I had a close friend, who, you know, I still care about a lot, and I miss them very much. And you know, she told me to let things go a lot. You know, it's not my fault, and I couldn't always, like, I can't fix everything, you know. And at the time, it made me so angry, um, because I didn't understand until I really went to Rogers, and I had to deal with things. I had to not find all the whys, but answer the whys that I could answer. Answer the questions that would give me a little closure on things that I couldn't really, like, understand. You're not always going to know why things happen. It's not always going to be your fault. Sometimes bad shit happens, and it's sad, but it'll be okay. You gotta. I always say you gotta push. You know, you gotta keep moving forward. You know, that Rocky sentence. That was something I used to listen to. That every, like, before every practice, there was this motivational, like, speeches. It was a YouTube video, and one of them was the Rocky video. You know, you just gotta keep pushing. It's not about how hard you can get hit, or how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And that was something, like, that I always did. But, like, my perspective really changed when I went to Rogers on everything, because mental health is not a joke. It's not something. I see a lot of people that are like, okay, well, you know, they should just be happy. They have this, they have that. You know, their life is this way, their life is that way. Mental health isn't always about what you have and what you don't have. Well, technically, yes, because my brain doesn't make certain chemicals. And so I always feel sad. And it's not something that I'm grateful for what I have. I'm very grateful. But my brain doesn't know that. And that was something that I had to realize, like, hey, it's not your fault. Like, you just, like, there's a difference between being like, okay, it's not my fault, whatever, and just being dumb about it. And there's a difference, like, okay, hey, it's not your fault you feel this way, but you could still try to work on it, you know. Opening up to people. Two of my close friends pushed me to open up more, and that was hard. That was something that I don't do. And I don't regret it. My perspective on you know, opening up to people, mental health, all that changed through one person. Through one friend that, honestly, I wish I could thank them more, and I wish I could do more for them. And I care about them very much, and I hope they know that. And it took me sitting in a room with, like, Rogers was an experience. Rogers was an experience because it wasn't just mental health. It was people coming off of hard drugs and things, and but they were so loyal. Which is, like, you know, I always talked about, like, in my sociology classes and things, about homeless people, and, you know, trying to change people's perspective on them, because sometimes you don't know their story. You know, I remember there was one that sat down at, like, the Walgreens or CVS down by my college, and I sat there and I talked to him. You know, these kids yelled at him and called him names because he was begging for money or whatever, and I'm like, hey man, I don't have any money, but I got some food, like, do you want to eat? And, you know, we sat and we ate, and I talked to him, and I don't know if it was true or not, but he was looking for his family. His wife moved and left and took the kids, and he came home, sold the house, and he's been searching for them. And you don't know if it's true, but you never know. Without talking to them, your perspective is only based on what the media and people portray, and it's not always true. Now, I'm not saying every homeless person is, not doing drugs or drinking or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you don't know until you speak to them, until you attempt to, I guess, build your own perspective. I think that goes a long way with not just homeless people, with mental health. Sometimes you don't know what's really going on in people's head until you talk to them, until you find out what they're thinking and what they're feeling and what they're going through. A lot of I feel like my parents' perspectives had changed when I went to Rogers, and we sat down, we talked, and I told them, this is how I went from being this college athlete to having people like really support me, to felt like people believed in me, to feeling like a complete disappointment, to feeling like half a man because of my health. And not even just my mental health, my physical health, my mental health crippled me as well, because I couldn't open up to people. I couldn't build those relationships with anybody because I didn't want to get left. I didn't want to be abandoned or hurt. Now, with that being said, I mean, my perspective over the last 3 months on life has been completely flipped. But I feel like, I don't know. It's a process. It's not gonna happen overnight. Praying for things, wishing on stars, whatever. It's not always gonna work. It's nice. It's nice to hope, and it's always, stay hopeful. Stay persistent, But I don't believe that saying, just believing in God is going to make everything right, because it's not. And I also, the old saying that, don't judge a book by its cover. You never really know what anybody's going through until you talk to them. And you can't really, I couldn't really be mad at anybody except myself, because I wasn't open. So, even if somebody tried to talk to me, I was always I was so closed up. But I was also frustrated that nobody understood how I felt. And I realized that the only way they're going to understand is if I talk about it. I think this is probably the fourth video about my mental health and whatnot that I've started to open up more and started to talk about it. And so, yeah. So it's helping me. I gained this new perspective on life almost, and I'm trying to live a better life. I miss my friend, and I want to be better, not only for them, but for my family, for myself, for my future children, wife, whatever. I want to be a better person. And that's something that I know I have to work on every day. And wishing on stars and whatnot isn't always going to work, But I hope this was beneficial. I hope this made sense to you. And I'll see you guys next time.